Well, next month will mark 1 year since much of the U.S. has been in some state of lockdown or quarantine. Here in the New York region, some parts are more restricted than others, but many people all across the country are experiencing a common issue, hitting a pandemic wall. Journalist Tanzina Vega tapped into that feeling last week when a tweet she sent about hitting said pandemic wall went viral. Vega is the host of the Takeaway podcast on WNYC, and the responses she got on Twitter led to a podcast episode exploring this pandemic wall issue and what it means. And Tanzina joins us live right now to talk about what so many of us are familiar with. First of all, congratulations on your show. Thank you for putting a spotlight on something that I think so many of us have felt. We just didn't have a name for it. So you took to Twitter about this pandemic wall, and what were some of the responses you got?
One of the most surprising responses is that it wasn't just parents or people who were exactly experiencing what I'm experiencing as a solo parent who's working full time from home. There were people who live alone. There were people who were elderly. There were people who, from all walks of life, who said, this is exactly what I'm feeling. And obviously, everybody has a different situation. And oftentimes we hear that we're all in the same storm, but in different boats. And I think what this tweet did, which was totally just a tweet off the top, I was feeling tired one day and I said, I just don't know how much more I can do at this point. And apparently everybody on that tweet, or at least tens of thousands of people around the country, responded and said, we needed a name for this. We needed to sort of figure out what it was that we are collectively feeling, even though we're all isolated and feeling very much alone. And so I think part of it was, as you said, naming something and giving it a name and having people say, oh, wait, I'm not the only person who's experiencing this. There are so many other people. And one of the most beautiful things, Marisol, was how those folks started talking to each other in terms of trying to help each other out. And it was just wonderful to see the sense of community that emerged from that tweet.
That is exactly right. That's when journalism is used for the greater good, because you're not an expert on this particular subject, but you invited experts onto your show to really take a deep dive into one of this. And one of the issues that you talk about with your experts is this idea of demoralization versus depression. And the two are incredibly different. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing that with us, because I think it's a crucial delineation and it can help us as we navigate our way through the pandemic wall.
And we should be clear that there are people who are experiencing depression right now in varying degrees. One of the things that our experts who were psychologists and psychiatrists recommended is that people do seek out help from therapists if they feel that they need that help. So do not be ashamed to do that. Depression is something that is clinically defined. It's something that a doctor or psychologist or psychiatrist can define for you. This other idea of demoralization is sort of where we're at, where we're all kind of saying, look, we've been working really hard. We've been waiting for a vaccine. We're stretched really thin with so many of the things that are put on our plates now, which include childcare and so many other stressors. And we just don't see the out, right? We don't see the end of it. And so you feel like, I think a lot of folks said, great, 2020 is going to be over and we'll start off 2021 with this vaccine and everything's going to go away. Right. And that didn't happen. And so I think people were feeling demoralized from that and saying, plus it's the winter, the holidays are over, and people are feeling kind of like the wind is out of their sails. And a lot more people are feeling it than you would imagine.
Tanzina, I want to bring in the rest of my team, because we have all in one way or another felt this feeling like, I thought this was going to be temporary. And to your point, it's 2021, right? It's going to be new, or
Better.
It's not. And then we got slammed with a snowstorm. So I invite my teammates to ask some questions. By the way, you guys should know, Tanzina's from the Lower East Side, grew up watching Pigs.
That's right.
Hi, Tanzina.
Hi, guys. Native New Yorker here, and so happy to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Love that you're here. Love that you did this. I have a question because, I have to listen to the actual episode here. Did you discuss the mental health aspect of it and the fact that people, they're scared often to admit that they have a mental health problem or an anxiety or a depression because of it? And did you get into that to let people know, hey, it's okay?
Yes. In fact, there was a series of tweets after the initial tweet. And one of the tweets I said, it's okay to not be okay right now. We have to accept that, right? And I think part of what the therapist that we were talking to, and in fact, we've been covering this on my show for a while. We've been talking about the mental health effects of the pandemic and what isolation does and how these things are really stressing on us. But the idea now is that we can actually identify what's happening. And we know that these are stressors that are happening across the board. And in fact, the idea of recognizing that I'm not okay and probably a lot of people aren't feeling okay almost made people relieved to say, oh my gosh, I don't have to fake it anymore. I don't have to act like, what some people are calling the toxic positivity, that everything has to be happy all the time. And it doesn't. And I think just admitting that for a lot of folks was a big hurdle to get over. But I think people feel better saying, you know what, there are other people along the ride with me. And it's okay not to be okay.
I was just going to say briefly, though, a lot of folks feel it, they recognize it, but they don't want to talk about it. They've talked about it plenty. It's not changing. We're still dealing with it. So is it okay to be like, no, I'm not okay, but I don't want to talk about it?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. And I think that opening this up, one of the things that it did was I think there's a lot of shame in being alone or feeling lonely, which a lot of us, it's been sort of imposed on us with this long-term isolation. I think for parents in particular, for example, they feel like, myself, I'm a new parent, I'm a pandemic parent, and you feel like, am I doing enough? Am I doing the right thing? There are lots of feelings of guilt involved and things that we often say what we see on social media is often the edited version of our lives.
Totally, we were just talking about that.
True version, right? So what happens if you put something honest up there? And I think what we saw was people said, "Oh, thank God, somebody's speaking the truth."
Tanzina Vega, you bring up so many wonderful points. We could talk to you for forever, but I did want to say congratulations with the baby. I know the baby is about to turn 1, and boy, won't that be a first year in the record books.
We had no idea that we were about to experience a pandemic, a global a racial uprising for social justice, an insurrection in just year 1. So
seriously.
2021 will be somewhat tame.
Just wait till you have to start potty training. That's when the real fun begins.
I'm not ready.
Wait till you hit terrible twos.
Tanzina,
I'm not ready.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you want to check out Tanzina's podcast, The Takeaway, just visit the WNYC website listed right here on our screen.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Thank you.